Rubio renews for 2 more years with the Movistar team. Making it a total of 9 seasons, he would compete with the Telephone team. Great. And we start these 10 minutes of individual time trial with a summary of the most important news in the world of cycling today. June 5th. And we do it with the news that broke this morning when Movistar announced the renewal for 2 more seasons of the Colombian rider from Chiquiza. Einer Rubio, the cyclist, would thus be tied to the side team until 2028, making it a total of 9 seasons that the rider would compete with the Telephone team. We also have the results of what happened in the 6th stage of the women's Giro, as well as the final stage of the Tour of Bologna, where Ben Oliver won, giving the first overall victory to Modern Adventure. Let's start then precisely with this news that has just happened, with Ben Oliver's victory, not only in the stage ahead of Arnaud de Delis, but also in the overall classification, winning 2 stages of the Tour of Bologna. The New Zealand rider has achieved victory in a very tight sprint today against the Belgian who had won yesterday. He thus takes 2 stages and is the winner of the overall classification. This is the first time that Modern Adventurer has won an overall classification in UCI category races. So let's remember that this organization, created under the influence of George Incapiede and his brother, has had a great performance precisely today and throughout this stage, even wearing the mountain jersey with the Colombian Samuel Flores in the first of the stages. So a great result for this North American team. Today, with the end of the Tour de Bologna, let's take a look at the results from the penultimate and the antepenultimate stages of the women's Giro. With a Category 3 climb, there was a massive crash. Anne van der Breggen, the current leader of the race, was involved in it, and according to her own words, she only has scrapes. But we wanted to see how she evolves during the night, because tomorrow's stage is extremely intense, which we will see next. As for the results of today's stage, the French rider Guéry from the France Deye team won, the same team as Demi Vollering. This is an extremely important race, considering she is only 20 years old and had competed in just 2 previous races, including the Fleche Barbanzona, which she also won. The victory, so it's a very significant race for the interests of the France Deye team. But of course, for Guéry's professional career, which is gradually making its way not only in this team, but also among the top favorites in women's cycling. The general classification, Anne van der Breggen still in the lead, as we mentioned, despite the fall she suffered halfway through the race. And Elisa Longo Borghini, the UAE rider, has managed to take 5 seconds off the Dutch riders. For tomorrow, with the climb to Finestre S and the finish in Sestriere, it will be a reminder of what happened a year ago. With that, results of Simon Yates in that one. The shortest stage at the beginning. In the end, it will only be 106 kilometers, but it will end up being extremely challenging and attractive for the race team. The last stage could also have some demi in it in the result, since it has several mountain passes. Tomorrow will basically be a stage to turn things around from today overall. Now we move on to the topic that brings us together, which is none other than the 2-year renewal that the Movistar team has announced for Einer Rubio. The rider from Chiqui signed this contract extension after the Giro d'Italia, where his main role was to help the rider Enric Mas. Demi in the early up to expectations and couldn't secure a spot in the general classification, which forced the team to rethink their strategy and focus on stage wins by those riders who finish in the top 20 in the general classification. In the end, Einer Rubio managed to finish in the top 20 in the general classification. the Demi team in some of the stages. And because of this, that work plan has been maintained, which will lead him to race in all 3 Grand Tours this year. He explained it to us himself. An agreement had already been reached last year at the Giro d'Italia to try to race all 3 Grand Tours. Schedule was made along with training and a specific nutrition plan to achieve that goal. The first of them has already been achieved, with some criticism about the role he could have played if he had had the chance to work as a leader and hadn't worn himself out so much. Working in stages where there was practically nothing left to do, helping Enric Mas, and in others, searching for a stage win that was extremely difficult. And in the end, he managed to get into 6 breakaways throughout the race, accumulating a large number of kilometers in his legs as a breakaway rider. But let's listen to what the rider told us in Piancaballo once the Giro ended on the last demanding climb. In stage number 20 of this 109th edition of the Giro d'Italia, we heard from Einer Rubio about what he thought of the stage and in general the Giro d'Italia.
The Giro is like family. They wait for you and you give everything. Stage number 20.
Well, honestly, it's comfortable. It was a bit of support for one more day, giving it everything. Can you feel the fatigue from 20 days of racing? Every day, whether fighting for the breakaway or helping and working for the team. So no matter how strong your legs are, one day you have to pay for it. And today, especially at the end, I was just a little short, just a little, but that's it. I'm not satisfied either because I gave it my all. I did everything. The preparation was almost perfect.
This goes on.
We learn.
Technically, 33% of this year's work is done.
Well, for now we're thinking about recovering, getting some good rest, clearing our minds above all, and then thinking about the next goals.
With what he showed in this Giro, he might be thinking about something different for the Tour. I know it's very early, but I think everything needs to be prepared, especially since you're going to take on all 3.
As I've said, first of all, it's about recovering the body and especially the mind very well, and then gradually planning for the Tour de France.
Well, with all that, we have to look at the future of the rider from Chiquiza dentro de la organización del Movistar, who is now entering the preparation phase for what will be the second big challenge of the season, which is none other than starting in Catalonia with the Tour de France. La estación del Movistar, where he went establish himself as one of the key men within the Movistar team. After this contract extension, the truth is that his 2 World Tour category victories, one with the Emirates team and another in the Giro d'Italia, put the rider in position to be one of the main contenders in these situations. In the Tour de France, which will start on July 4th, as we mentioned with those Catalan stages at the beginning, before starting the whole French journey, which will be extremely demanding, especially when it comes to the start. La Iztacactivecia in Catalonia, some independence movements have called for their political demands to be echoed, using as a platform the media that will be covering the Tour de France. And the media attention this event gets. And well, we hope that the authorities themselves who approved that grand start for the Tour de France will be able to control the situation from the city of Barcelona, frontera con Francia, with a time trial and then the stages that will take them north once they get close to the border with France. So we'll be telling you all these stories. For now, we just invite you to keep joining us on this cycling journey. I'm Iñaki Berrueta.